2000s, Ghana saw a new revelation, that is the oil industry being boomed in Ghana. And today, there has been the need for the construction of a new oil jetty to replace the old one. Yes, it is indeed fact that the old oil jetty used to take about 20,000 tons of petroleum from ships. Currently in the middle of the sea, thus as the new oil jetty being built here at the Takoradi Port, this oil jetty is expected to receive in excess 80,000 tons of petroleum from ships. And this is a boom to the maritime industry and of course Ghana's economy. Maritime, Minerals, Aviation and Port Map Focus is here to update you on what goes on in the industry and of course in the oil sector. So welcome back. We've been speaking with lawyer Kwame Jan, talking to us about the big thing happening in the Takoradi Port. This is Map Focus. So let's move on with lawyer. Lawyer, first of all, talking about the oil jetty, how much did it cost?
Now, because of the cost of the jetty and the complexities of the jetty, just last week we brought on board one of the top consulting companies in this area, River Lake, from the Netherlands.
Okay.
They have taken over the supervision. They are now working as our engineers, the engineers for the owners. They are now interfacing with the contractors, Amandi, preparing all the safety standards, all the HR standards, ensuring that we get ISO certification for the operations of the jetty before the first vessel arrives. They are going to test run the system. We'll bring a vessel in with product. And the vessel will discharge the products through the system and the system will be tested. Now, the steps we are taking is costing us additional cash.
Yes, I was about to ask why.
Trust me, you don't put $68 million in a facility and lay persons like me and my partners will just go and the contractor will say, I have finished.
Hand over to you.
Hand over the jetty. We take the jetty and do what with. So these guys are preparing themselves. They are going to look at who has to work there and with what qualifications. It's not, this one is not job for the boys. This is job for competent hands.
Oh, okay.
It's not job for the boys.
So with Riverlink taking over, you are not going to interfere in their activity?
With Ibistek, you'll be surprised. Ibistek has never interfered with anybody's work when they are consulting for us. We went through an international competitive bidding to select the contractor for the container and multipurpose terminal, valued $200 million. Ibistek executives, none of us were involved in the procurement.
The Jean Dino?
The Jean Dino procurement, it was handled by external parties with no involvement of Ibistek people. Why should we get ourselves involved? For me, I believe that in these kinds of procurements, let the best bid win. Let the best bid win. And indeed, the best bid won. And if you go to the ground, you will see that indeed the best bid won.
Manifest.
Yes, it's absolutely clear and unambiguous that the work Yaninu is doing there confirmed that they were the best bid.
So even though the oil jetty will be done soon and it's supposed to be handed to you, you have thought it wise that let's get a better hand that
to receive it.
To receive it.
And train the Ghanaians who will be recruited. They will be recruited by River Lake, trained by River Lake. They would work side by side with River Lake. And when we decide that the Ghanaians are ready to take up, River Lake would leave the system. But River Lake will be on the fringes as our external consultants to do quality control and checks for us.
Wow.
To be sure that at all material times, we meet all the international certifications. You see, Ghanaians like to say that they are owners. Yes, you are owner. You must be owner of stuff that is working. not owner of something that has collapsed the next day because you left it in incompetent hands. Yeah, I told you, this is not job for the boys. It's job for competent hands.
Indeed. Great. And so we are hoping that Riverlink will be in for how long?
Riverlink should be officially in for about 1 year.
About 1 year.
And if at that point all the necessary structures are in place and we know that the Ghanaian staff are sufficiently apprised to take over, we leave it and they take over.
Somebody will ask, is it worth taking such huge money to invest in such a project? Are you hoping, how long are you hoping to recoup such investment and even think of making profit?
You see, in the port industry, anything that has to do with port, the former Director General of GPHA, Mr. Anamu, he taught us one lesson.
Right.
He said, in this industry, the cargo always follows the space.
The cargo always follows
the
space.
Always follows the space. Because you see, you always get into a chicken and egg situation, isn't it? If I build the facility and the cargo doesn't come, what do I do, isn't it? If you are a businessman,
yeah,
and you are going to invest, you start asking yourself, so I put up the facility and the cargo doesn't come.
Okay.
But time and again, it's a tested hypothesis that in the port industry, the cargo always will follow the space.
Where there is a space, the
yes,
cargo
the cargo
will
will follow.
it.
And I tell you, Tema, when they started Tema expansion, you talk to GPHA, they will tell you. When they started thinking about Tema expansion, nobody in this world gave them money. They were told by international financial institutions that it was not viable. So they shouldn't go close to the expansion of Tema. At that time, Tema was doing less than 150,000 containers per annum. When they started the expansion, they moved to 300,000. Last year, Tema has crossed 1 million containers.
Wow.
And this is less than 15 years. In fact, it's less than 10 years when they started the expansion project. So those who didn't give Tema a dog's chance raised money for MPS to do the second phase of the expansion, the current expansion.
Wow.
They didn't believe in Tema when GPHA was struggling to build it. But when the numbers came up,
started increasing. Now they've seen that
so
it's worth
we
investing.
are also convinced
Great.
that even on the current numbers, we will make profit. Even if the cargo through Takoradi, in terms of the jetty, remain the same, we'll make profit. But we know, and it's been proven, that the cargo will follow the space.
The cargo.
As you and I are talking now, I believe some industry players are listening.
Yes.
So some Burkinabes are listening.
Exactly.
Some Malians are listening and watching.
Exactly.
Their agents are here. Agents for vessel owners are here. Agents for cargo owners are here. And I know stakeholders in the industry have paid visits to Takoradi. I told you about a visit I made with the chief executive of the MPA.
Yeah.
And so they know what they will tell the stakeholders. Now, if you look at the number of proposals we have received from people who are interested in building tank farms, some 1,200 capacity. So, I mean, it's interesting.
Takoradi.
Yes. To take advantage of the jetty. Because currently, what Takoradi doesn't have much is the storage space. And you know, it doesn't take you too long to build the tank farms. 6 months, you can build tank farms. So we are expecting that by September to December, Takoradi would have ample storage capacity to be able to take advantage of the oil jetty. So we are on track.
Well, good to know you're on track.
And very much so.
Okay. Then Takoradi is becoming a big thing indeed. Now, let's take a shift to Takotel as a container divan company on its own, juxtaposing it with the port expansion. First of all, Takotel was the justify your inclusion part of the whole process. So you tell me a bit about the facility, the space, the services, your security. What makes Takotel the must-go-to container off-dock terminal?
Now, Takotel has a singular advantage, and I'll tell you what that singular advantage is.
Okay.
It has a monopoly over container handling in Takoradi.
Oh.
Yes. The concession agreement Takotel signed with GPHA. You know, container numbers were lean in Takoradi, and Takoradi wasn't very attractive. So nobody wanted to invest in offshore, off-dock container handling in Takoradi. So GPHA, in its wisdom, said, if you guys take this responsibility, because the numbers are low, we'll give you exclusivity. So Takotel virtually is a monopoly. So anybody who brings containers to Takoradi wouldn't have a choice but to come through Takotel. But that has not made us complacent. If you've been to Takotel and you see what we have there, 27 acres of land, paved with sufficient strength in terms of the load-bearing capacity of the pavement. Has very strong and modern container handling equipment, race stackers, all the forklifts, very pleasant staff with a financial institution in Locum, so there's a car bank facility right there inside the facility. And it's just below 4 kilometers from the port. So both import and export containers can be very conveniently handled in that space. We apply GPHA approved tariffs, so no cutthroat tariffs.
Customs.
The customs facility is a custom bonded warehouse. So customs, they are there.
Okay.
And we have encouraged the customs people to start work early and make sure that our customers are very happy. We have trained our staff to provide very friendly customer service. So if you are looking for a place to ship your goods through, I strongly urge upon you to go through Takotel. So the reason Takotel came up was that GPHA decided that no more divining activities inside the port area and in the waterfront.
Okay.
To reduce human traffic. So there was too much human traffic, pilfering, and all congestion, and so on and so forth. So the idea of off-dock divining was to deal with these challenges that we were having at the waterfronts. And Takotel is in a very good position to achieve this objective.
Okay, so let's move straight into the expansion.
The project entails the construction, phase 1, of a 600-meter quay wall with accompanying yard space, office accommodations, with equipment, and that should be commissioned by, the contractor is being very modest. He's talking about October 2021.
Okay.
But we know that that is a contractor's timetable. The contractor doesn't want to give us any ambitious timetables,
that
which
he will not be able to
exactly. But the contractor knows what he's doing. So we are on track, and we know that what they are doing in Takoradi ultimately is going to give us 1,495 meters of quay wall. 1,495 meters of quay wall. Part at minus 16 meters, same as what they have done in Tema.
Okay.
And part at minus 14 meters.
Okay.
Now, what we should tell the shipping world about Takoradi.
Yes.
The Tema expansion is at minus 16, but it is only for containers.
Only for containers?
Only, yes. The Tema Port Expansion project is only in respect of container traffic.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's not container. And so they are not doing for ro-ro and they are not doing for general cargo.
Containers, strictly.
Only containers. But we are doing Takoradi minus 16 for containers and minus 14 for general cargo.
Wow. So
That is why we are calling the Takoradi facility a container and multi-purpose terminal.
Terminal. Okay.
So it shows you how Takoradi is being positioned. Because currently in Tema, for general cargo, the maximum berth limit is 11.6. In Takoradi, you are talking about general cargo minus 14
Minus
meters.
14.
Yes. And for container, you are talking about minus 16. So for those who don't know much about what we are doing in Takoradi, we are not doing a second-rate expansion project in Takoradi. We are doing a first-rate, first-class expansion project in Takoradi. So if you sat back and you heard, oh, they are doing Tema, yes. But what we are doing in Takoradi is not second class.
Wow.
What we are doing in Takoradi is not second class.
Minus 14 for the general
For general cargo.
And minus 16
for container cargo.
And minus 16 will be able to bet the biggest ship in the
Up
world.
to vessels carrying 19,000 plus containers.
Wow.
Will dock at Takoradi.
This is really going to be great.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, putting all the three together in connection with the continental free trade, how do you see the future of Ghana?
I think that what we need to do to maximize the benefit of the port expansion project is to ask ourselves, what is the role of a port? Many years back, a port was just an interface between land and sea.
Okay.
Now, that concept has changed. So ask yourself, what are the rail connections? What are the road connections? What is the air connections? If you don't develop a transportation hub, you don't get the full benefit of port expansion. So we are only hoping that those who are responsible for the rail lines will develop the rail lines.
Okay.
Those who are responsible for the roads will develop the road network. Those who are responsible for the airlines will develop the air networks. How many accidents will they encounter on the road? You want to take advantage, full benefit of the port, then do all those other things which you need to reap the benefit of a port. Because, like I told you, a port is no longer an interface between land and sea.
Okay.
A port must be part of a transport hub. And the full complement of transportation must be accessible. Air, rail, land, and sea.
They all must be accessible.
Exactly. Otherwise, you are still going to be in the Georgesburg era, where a port was only an interface between land and sea. That is Georgesburg. Today, a port must be part of a transport hub. And all the complement of transportation, air, sea, land, and rail, must be made available, accessible, and first class.
Must be made available, accessible,
and first class.
I like that. Okay.
No nyama kind of access.
No shortcuts. It
No
has to be
shortcuts.
done well.
The roads are in perfect shape. So, for example, if you want to travel from Takoradi to Tema, Takoradi to Burkina.
Okay.
If you look at the distance in terms of the map between Takoradi and Burkina and Tema and Burkina, the distance is like what we call equidistant. It's about the same distance.
Okay.
But if you had someone loading a container from Takoradi heading to Ouagadougou, and another someone loading a container from Tema heading to Ouagadougou, the one from the checks we have made, the one moving from from Takoradi to Ouagadougou will save about 5 hours or more.
Okay.
One of the areas which Ghana must take advantage of in respect of this continental free trade is the landlocked countries and their access to the ports. But last 2 months, a delegation of Ibistek, Shippers Authority, GPHA, Customs, and so on, traveled to the landlocked countries to interact with them regarding their challenges. Why are they not using our ports as much as we wanted them to use it? Because we are in competition with Togo. We are in competition with Cote d'Ivoire. You know what they told us?
No, tell me.
75 police checkpoints between Ghana and Burkina Faso. 75 stoppages. 75. 75. So somebody has come in, transit goods, Accra to Burkina, Tema to Burkina. 75 stops. You know how much it cost them in terms of being on the road? So why wouldn't they go to Lomé and go from Lomé to Burkina? Why wouldn't they go to Abidjan? So we should make ourselves attractive.
Okay.
We should remove these bottlenecks which are hurting us. All the vice presidents talk about
barriers.
Removal of barriers.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks that the barriers are gone. The barriers are there.
You are saying the barriers.
They are still there. And our people have confirmed. And the Burkinabes, and the Malians, and the Nigerians have provided evidence that 75 checkpoints
are still on the road.
And most of them are unauthorized.
Okay.
So all the paperless and so on are good. But remove the barriers. Remove the barriers. Lessen the cost. Lessen the burden of the people who are using our ports from the landlocked countries. And it will be good business for Takoradi, it will be good business for Tema. But we should have the courage to remove the barriers. They will tell you that officially there are only 2 customs points between Accra and the place. But what about the rest? If they are unofficial, remove them.
If they are unofficial, remove them. Okay, lawyer. Thank you very much for this interview. Before we go, one of the things I would like to know that in general, as an indigenous Ghanaian company taking up this challenge, what has been some of the difficulties you've encountered?
We've encountered the same challenges that Ghanaian enterprises encounter. And I know that the Ghanaian people, as they see what we have done, will also believe in us going forward. And we will serve as a catalyst for other Ghanaian companies, because now the can-do spirit of the Ghanaian has been demonstrated by what Ibistek has done in Takoradi.
Someone is watching you out there, the international community is watching you. What would you say about Ghana? What should they expect in the next few years to come? How would Ghana be with regards to this Takoradi Port Expansion coming into being?
What we have done is to open a gateway. And once, like I told you, once you have the space, the cargo would follow. We have opened the gateway. The international system knows about this project. We've had the opportunity to present this project in London 2 weeks ago before British entrepreneurs and government officials. So when you have a gateway, all you can do is to keep your gateway open. To traffic. But I told you, there are complementary things that have to be done outside of our control. We only urge upon those who have the authority and the power and who control the resources to do those things to complement what we have done so that we can reap maximum benefit from this port expansion project.
Okay, so the other agencies and government institutions will have to do what they have to do so that we get the full benefit of the port expansion, the Takoradi Port Expansion. It's been a very intense and mind-blowing interview with you, lawyer Kwame Jan. Thank you so much. For
my appreciation. And
being on the show.
Thank all your audience for the attention.
Thank you so much. Okay, so that will be all for today. My name is Esi Boateng.